Hello and welcome to Conscious Conversations. We're three best friends on a mission to explore life's deeper questions and celebrate the power of spiritual growth. I'm your host, Brittany, joined by my co-hosts, Nicole and Ashley. And together we're here to share insights, personal stories, and practical tools for mindful living. Whether you're curious about meditation, energy healing, astrology, or simply looking for ways to find more peace and purpose, you've come to the right place. Let's dive in and discover what it means to live with greater awareness and an open heart.
As we enter 2025, a year with powerful and transformative energy, we want to discuss the symbolism of the wood snake, the animal spirit of the Chinese zodiac that will guide us through the upcoming year. 2025 marks a unique period of spiritual and personal evolution, and if you're feeling the change already, you're not alone.
This episode is all about embracing transformation, both within ourselves and in the world around us. As a symbol, the snake carries profound wisdom and the promise of rebirth. And when paired with the energy of wood, a force of creativity, renewal, and growth, we are invited to shed our old skins, nurture new beginnings, and tap into our more profound truths.
So wherever you are in your journey, whether it's just beginning to explore transformation or you've already started shedding your old layers of yourself, this episode is definitely for you.
We chose this topic for this episode because many of you, if you've listened to our last episode about the dragons, know that we just experienced a year of the dragon, where a lot of things were brought to the surface for destruction and for alchemization. And now you're stepping into the year of the wood snake, which is transformation and a lot of time for personal spiritual growth and renewal. And within this frequency, a lot of you find empowerment in knowing, giving yourself kind of a heads up for what the year is to come. So within that energy, having insight and clarity onto what is the wood snake, how it really pertains to you personally, as well as collectively, can be something really beneficial to have in kind of the back of your mind as you navigate the year 2025. So what is the wood snake? It's a Chinese zodiac, and there's a lot of elemental influence within that frequency. So let's look at the Chinese zodiac to understand the wood snake and its significance. It's a system of 12 animal signs, each representing a year in the 12-year cycle. Each animal has its traits that influence the year it governs. The 12 animals are rat, ox, tiger, rabbit, dragon, which we just had, snake, which is now, horse, goat, monkey, rooster, dog, and pig. The snake is the sixth animal and is linked to wisdom, intuition, and transformation. People born in a snake year are seen as deep thinkers, wise, and strategic with inner strength and the ability to handle complex situations.
Besides the animal signs, each year is also tied to one of the 5 elements: wood, fire, earth, metal, and water. These elements add more meaning and shape to the year's energy. In 2025, we're in the wood snake year, combining the snake's transformative power with the growth and creativity of wood. Wood, again, symbolizes growth, renewal, and flexibility. So this year encourages us to embrace change, unlock our creativity, and focus on personal development and transformation. It's a time to let go of the past and plant the seeds for new beginnings.
So my question for you guys is, as the year comes to an end and we start new, this year of the wood snake starts January 29th, I believe, is the exact date that we move into the wood snake. What have you guys felt leading up to this? Have you felt the influence of the wood snake? What do you guys have coming that you can feel within your day-to-day life or within your spirituality or any other energies that you've been feeling around you?
So interestingly enough, this was all brought to my attention from my amazing nail artist, Ken. We love you, Ken, if you're listening. That this was a thing. It's part of his culture that he shared with me and the importance of the wood snake. I knew the year of the dragon because I love dragons. So I'm like, anything dragon I'm drawn to. But the wood snake, when he was talking to me about it, I was really drawn to the symbolism that my perspective has of snakes. And he also mentioned the energy of how snakes can kind of be deceitful and really bring a lot of that deceit to the surface. And I feel like I've already experienced that, like a kind of like if you think of Mercury retrograde, I feel like I'm in like a pre-shadow phase of this lunar calendar year with the year of the snake, of like deceit coming up in the collective, but also deceit within yourself, like of times that I've lied in the past or times where I've not been authentic or times where I've just like not felt the best energy of myself. I tell you what, when that ball dropped, even though it's not technically the year of the wood snake yet, shadow work was coming up for me immediately. And I really had to sit and reflect with myself and be like, wow, okay, this snake is really having me shed deceit within myself, but also it's magnifying it outside of me pretty powerfully as well.
Yeah, I've had some pretty massive perspective changes already, and we're already what, like 2 weeks, not even into the year. And when you brought up deceit, I really thought about like how much like I kind of like lie to myself about things to not want to deal with things or kind of make excuses for myself, or patterns, behaviors, thoughts, how I show up. And I think that's something really, really big that's come up for me as far as like deceit in the way of the snake.
I think one of the things that has shown up for me already this year, and I mean, it had to have happened, a couple weeks ago. When I think of the snake, I actually think of knowledge and wisdom. Like I think of the serpent in the Garden of Eden that gave Eve knowledge. And so I really have learned already how to step into my inner wisdom, and there's been a couple of things that have come up where I've had like a pretty powerful stop to a lot of these energies around me that were in question. And it's almost before I would make excuses like, oh, it's me overthinking a situation, or maybe I'm projecting, but this time around it was almost immediate and was like, nope, just trust your gut, trust your intuition, and that's it, and you're done. And so that was something that was really cool for me. So it was like almost that transformative energy came in immediately, and it came in a few weeks ago, and I really, really enjoy that. For the year, I can really see myself easing into life a lot more, which was something I actually tried to battle with last year in the year of the dragon, which probably now looking back wasn't the year to do it. But this year I can definitely see myself really just leaning into the seasons, leaning into the flow, leaning into more of a calm, cool, and collected way of life, and just not really accepting anything else. Like I just don't have time. I think we all feel this way. We just don't have time for it. Like something I said to Ash and Nicole maybe a week or two ago, where I was like, I'm just done. I'm done with shadow work. I'm just done. I'm not willing to accept it anymore right now. I'm done. you know and that's like very much how I feel about a lot of things, where I'm like, I just want to enjoy the ride. And I feel like this year, this is the year for transformation and perspective of how I look at life going forward. Like it doesn't need to be so hard. It doesn't mean it need to be so difficult. And I definitely don't need to overthink everything. And it just makes life so much easier.
I love that you related snakes to flow because that's a perspective I've never heard and one that I really enjoy. Because if you think of a snake, you think of it as kind of like its body literally looks like it's flowing. It looks like waves. And with snakes, I have a lot of like predisposed fear from when I was growing up. Like everyone in my family was afraid of snakes. So if we saw a snake, we screamed and we ran the other direction. And I've really been tackling that fear within the last couple of years of really trying to like not be afraid of something that could potentially bite you but might not actually bite you. And I feel like that was like symbolism for me for this upcoming year of like not being afraid of what ifs and just going for it. And I was even making a pros and cons list of a decision that I was making throughout 2025 of like a big change within my business prior to us recording this. And my list, a lot of the cons were wills, what ifs. Well, those aren't facts. So it feels like 2025, the year of the wood snake, is going to be a lot of like actual facts that, yes, are going to have emotional reactions, but not letting emotional reactions create facts. Which now I'm thinking about it, it makes sense if you really dive deeper into it. Let's take a second to do that. So if you think about your emotional reactions to what ifs, essentially you are potentially creating and manifesting timelines of those what ifs. And if you don't like what those what ifs are, your intentions are skewed. So when you're thinking within that energy of, is this based in fear? Is this based in lack? What is this based in? 2025, the wood snake, you're transforming all of that. You're emotionally regulating, you're connecting with your internal energy. And I think it would be interesting for us to kind of share like the best ways that we think it is to connect to that internal divinity and connect to that internal aspect of self to really bring forward that transformation. Because a big part of transforming is being able to even identify what it is meant to shift.
I think in my experience, I kind of ignore things until I can't ignore them anymore. And like something big happens and I'm faced with like ride or die. Like you need to decide now, like shit or get off the pot. Because something did actually happen recently, and it in that moment, my whole world changed. I felt like I really gained perspective of like what actually mattered in life and what does not. What is worth my time, what I what I'm not experiencing because I'm too afraid to, or I'm too closed off, or I just make excuses and then live in that fear of it. And it's been a very interesting just week alone trying to figure out how I want to face those fears, where are they coming from? And now I don't really have a choice. I have to do it because if I want to keep living in a better way, in an evolved and improved and happier way, I have to do the things that I don't want to do. So I guess if I'm talking about what I'm thinking too for even this year coming up for me, that would be it. That's my transformation is healing deeply in a way that I can start living this life and the life that I choose to live.
So I think a lot of that, Nicole, thanks for sharing that. And I'm sorry that you had to be faced with those things because that's never easy for anybody. But part of that, when these things come up, and we just had a whole episode about shadow work, while we're embracing the wood snake, and this year to come, I think there's a lot of importance on like surrendering to the flow of life. And it's hard to do when you're constantly in your own way. And so, as the opportunities unfold, they don't always need all of your attention immediately at once. Take it as you can and when you can. And it tends to, Ash was talking a little bit more about what I would call anxiety, like a preconceived like outcome of something. Like nothing happens until it's there in your face. And so, the way that you give yourself anxiety is by assuming something is going to go away that it hasn't yet. And so that's another thing to kind of remind yourself to be present. And in those moments when you're faced with your fears or you're not really sure where things are going to go, trying to ground and just take things as they are at surface level sometimes is the best way to move through them. I think for myself, the thing that I would like to transform the most is one of my spiritual team members told me that this human body makes me naive. And it was a bit shocking that they said that because I don't really think of myself as somebody who's naive. Like I've lived a lot of life in my 37 years, but I had to take a step back and see what they meant by that. And there is a lot of things that I avoid as well because I don't have to deal with them. It's not my job to, quote unquote. And so I would like to kind of start addressing more of the naive part of myself and these things that I say that I can't do. And so I don't necessarily need to do these things in my life. I would like to take on more challenges and really kind of be more invested in my growth as not just a person, but as a part of a community that I want to see thrive. And that is something that's really kind of ironic coming from me because I'm such a solitary person. I would really, really like to expand myself within community and find more like-minded friends and community members that can really come together and help life just be easier and more enjoyable because if not, like what, I get it. Like, now I'm rambling, but a lot of life is spent like worried or like maybe not in the present moment. And so we miss out on a lot. And I would really, really, really like to kind of focus more of my attention on the good people in my life and how I can become better for them and not just myself as well. Okay, so what are some ways that we can nurture our creativity and our intuition in this coming year? What are some practical tips for cultivating your intuition or even reconnecting with your creative energy?
I think in alignment with like the transforming for me, even something I'm even working on right now in therapy is the transforming of the way I perceive time. Like I'll feel like I need to like rush through something. And I saw a video on TikTok earlier that said like a way to shift your nervous system is by literally slowing down tasks. And I've noticed how like frantic I am. Like I wash my hair fast, I do the dishes fast. Like everything's just so fast. Like I drive fast. Like everything feels so fast paced. That transformation for me, if I'm not transforming quickly, if it's not rapid transformation, if I don't see growth immediately, I feel like it's pointless. And I really am seeking and encourage the listeners to also seek, creativity within each moment of time and not feel like the time needs to all be lumped, together to have like this vast shift. The little micro moments of your time can really add up. And that's mindful moments that you have throughout your day. That can be connecting with your breath, that can be connecting with your heart, putting your hands on your heart. And I think it's really important for us to navigate time in a way that feels empowered because a lot of people are, have fear of time running out, have fear of like memories not being made, and having these moments and transforming these moments with time and with mindfulness and with meditation can be a way to really empower that.
I agree with that. I feel like mindfulness is huge. And also when you're wanting to maybe think of something that you want to create or feel into what you want to create, mindfulness helps with that because you get to slow down and connect more intuitively or intentionally with what you're wanting to transform one thing into the other. And yeah, so mindfulness is like in a sense a catalyst really for so many other things. For me this year with transformation, I'd like to really focus and take the time for my team. I don't actually sit enough with my team and connect with them in a way that benefits me and benefits them. Because I know that a lot of times they're trying to get my attention or guide me through something, and I'm just not taking the time to actually hear what they need to tell me. So then I'm left floundering, and that's my own fault because here's my team, they're doing their job and I'm not holding up my side of it. So that's something I think, in that I can do that through meditation. I can do that through just mindful activities or journaling. I do like to journal and kind of get the thoughts out. They tend to flow a little bit easier when I'm just free journaling and letting whatever they need to say come through.
So a lot of this is about slowing down time and being more mindful in the moments, right? So what are some ways that we can do that? So Ash was talking even something about how she rushes through the dishes. So a way to slow down that time and be more present is as you're doing the dishes, expressing moments of gratitude, like I'm really grateful that I have these dishes to wash, that I have running water, that I'm able to afford soap, that I have food to make these things dirty so that I have to wash them. I'm grateful for a home that I live in, that I can store my dishes away in a cabinet. And so things like that, those are moments where you can take a pause because I know a lot of the time we are in a race, right? Where this is all about what Ash was talking about. We're in a race against time and like we have to be here at this time where I only have this amount of time and I don't have time to meditate. I don't have time to journal. I don't have time to be in nature. I don't have time to do anything like except for run the rat race. So just something as simple as a perspective shift, which is being aware of what you're doing in the moment and then expressing gratitude goes a long way. Then you find other ways. So like if you are a person, I'm a person who loves being in nature and that really centers me and it really helps my creativity, which is a lot of what we're missing in our life is creative thought and just everything. Like we're so programmed to kind of just go along with whatever's in front of our face that we step away from our own creativity. So when I'm in nature, I'm able to have the quiet and I'm able to focus back into more of what myself is and the things that I prefer. But a way for you to do that in the morning is if you go and you wake up and you make yourself a cup of coffee and you turn on, the news or you go and start a load of laundry or whatever. After your coffee is done brewing, go take a step outside, even if it's 14 degrees out, even if it's 78 degrees out. You're in the sun, you're outside, you're getting that vitamin D, you're getting that cool breeze to your face, you're more connected to yourself in those few moments that you take to just even go have one drink of coffee outside and then begin your rat race for the day. But it's those little tiny steps that get you kind of back to center and self and experiencing life as it should be a little bit slower, right?
That makes me think of integrating, like taking the time to integrate, taking those times for moment. It's all going back to the time, but the integration. And while you were talking, I feel like I had like a download of like a message that I'm just this is just going to be randomly in here. But it's we usually don't know we are transforming in the midst of it. And the snake's energy is both why it's wise, but it's also based within discernment, and a big foundation of both of those things is trust. And I feel like this year is really about building trust with self, building trust with the divine, building trust with your higher self, and knowing that sometimes when you're in the midst of these energies, you might not know that you're even massively transforming. Death and rebirth is not a loud neon sign on your forehead every step of the way. Sometimes it's more like subtle, quiet moments rather than like really loud and apparent signals. And the energy around not giving up and really motivating yourself is through trust, and trust of what? Usually that's going to be you. And trust of, a betterment of whatever it is you're trying to transform in. And transforming, a lot of times, it comes with intention, but sometimes it comes abruptly within, dependent on energies that you're working with too, like your guides and things of that sort. And a big part of transforming is also embracing, different healings and shiftings and shadow healings that come up with this. So there's multiple layers. It's kind of like an onion here that I feel like we're going into of like, yes, you're transforming. You might not necessarily know you're an onion. You also have layers, but don't focus on all the layers because that's stressful. It's kind of like which way is best for you to go. So if you feel overwhelmed, that's also okay. But at the basis of that, at the foundation of that, you want that to be trust.
That's a great point. And I think a lot of what we forget is to accept the vulnerability and the courage that it takes in doing like this type of work of transformation. And a lot of it does come from that shadow work. Um, I always think about the new year, like, how everybody's like, new year, new me, blah, blah, blah. I cannot stand that. I cannot stand that anymore. Like, I even know leading up to this year, Ash did something about like recalling your what was it, Ash? It was like recalling your New Year's resolutions, right?
Yeah, like past resolutions, like all those past
Yeah.
intentions that you've put in. If you're no longer intending those, call those fractals back.
Call those fractals back. But also, I would also like to point out that our new year, quote unquote, is in January, which is quite literally the start of the winter. I mean, for us in San Diego, especially, we're just getting into winter. And it's interesting that we're supposed to be going through like this transformation and this new person and da da da, but it's like that stuff doesn't start until the spring. So remember that too. These darker, colder months are more for self-reflection and what that transformation down the road will look like for you. So don't feel so much pressure to hit every single New Year's as new year, new me. Just slow it down and be like, give yourself time to think through things so that when it starts warming up and you feel more at peace with yourself and what's going on around you, and you kind of come out of your own hibernation, maybe start thinking about resolutions then and what you want to set for yourself. But you don't have to do it in these darker months, these colder months. A lot of this is meant 100% for self-reflection.
That also makes me think of like a snake when it's getting ready to shed, right? Like they molt. They don't just like all of a sudden their skin falls off. Like it's like a process that their body goes through to kind of like soften the new skin and develop the new skin underneath, and then the old skin like slowly pulls off. And it doesn't always come off in one piece. It come off in five pieces or two pieces, or it doesn't you don't have to just come out in like new skin right away, to kind of embrace those little changes that you see here and there and see what feels good. Okay, well, I like this, so we'll keep going with that. Taking that time again to slow down and see what feels right for you.
Can you imagine the first time a snake's skin literally fell off of it? Like that's what made me think like this year's gonna like it's gonna be raw and vulnerable, and it's gonna be like I'm a newborn baby every step of the way that doesn't know what's happening, and maybe I'll be shedding and or maybe I'll be creating. It can be very diverse, but at every step of the way I want to feel empowered, and I want to have self-acceptance and self-compassion and self-love. And I am not really I am someone who sets intentions, not really super aligned with what you mentioned, Brittany, we do have diverse opinions within the intentional time. Because I think for me, I set intentions now so they're ready to blossom in the spring. I put them in the universe so they're ready for me when I'm ready to come out. And that's the reasoning behind, that frequency. So I've intended self-acceptance and empowerment, interestingly enough, and this is being mentioned in this episode, but also made me think of like whenever we're experiencing something new, and it's kind of like even if it's like shedding of the skin or something new is being created or something new is rebirthing, like you're not supposed to be a master of new things right away. So giving yourself time, it's not about perfection, it's about growth and really empowering yourself and trusting yourself within those instances.
Yeah, sorry if I wasn't clear. That's kind of what I meant, was like setting the intentions during the winter to blossom in the spring. But again, everybody's different, and there can be people that do like to set their intentions and start them at the beginning of January, or our new year. And that's totally okay. You find what works and you go with it. And I think that because life is so busy for me here in Southern California, like adding more to my plate in the middle of winter when I'm doing a lot of my deep reflection just doesn't work for me. But it's different everywhere, and everything, you know what I mean? It's all whatever fits for you works for you. So
One of the other things I wanted to bring up about the snake that I had written down was that they can also be seen as ambitious because they literally swallow prey that's larger than them. Sometimes when we're going through these transformations, we want to take on all of it because we're feeling so ambitious and excited and ready and want to get to the end result. But sometimes you can take on too much. So it's also being that like discerning of what you can handle, what's the best way for your energy to flow through it. And not, this just came to me real quickly, is not comparing your goals and how you want to transform to what you see all over. Because right now it's the new year. Everyone's like, I'm doing this and I'm doing this goal and I'm doing this. And while it's good to be encouraged by that, you also don't want it to discourage you.
one other thing that has been just random, sorry, this is totally random, but one other thing that's been coming up for me is paying attention to more of like the lunar cycles, because I feel like I am being pushed to understand my emotional needs and like my emotional capacity and as a whole, have a deeper understanding of that. And for myself, I connect a lot to the moon, and I often find I'm like the typical, like the werewolf comes out when there's a full moon. I swear that's totally me. So maybe that can also be helpful for you, people who are listening, or for even maybe you guys, if you don't already, pay attention more to like the lunar cycles and see, even if you start like a little journal about it and see how it really affects you. Because I've been really, it's so much easier for me now that I'm kind of focusing in on it to understand like when I need to take a step back just in like my personal relationships, because I know it's coming, like I know when there is a full moon, I'm a bit more irritated and all those kinds of things. But just setting intentions with those kinds of things, understanding yourself a little bit better throughout the year, and maybe following the lunar cycles might even help. And it's just something fun to do. It's something nice you're doing for yourself, and it's like a way of it's like self-care kind of. Okay, so I think we're going to do a little bit of our predictions for the following year. So Ash, do you want to start? Are these psychic predictions, or is that where we're tapping into our psychic abilities?
Sure did.
Ooh, girl. Okay.
I did a little reading for y'all about 2025 collectively prior and pulled out some keynotes. I'm not gonna take all your time on this because it feels like this could go for a while. But the first keynote is the importance of your words. Throughout 2025, there felt like there was significant importance of the way that you speak to yourself and the way that you speak to others, but also the words and intentions and the way that you use them. If you're someone who's trying to manifest money, stop saying you're broke. For someone who's trying to heal the relationship with your mother, stop saying you hate her. Really navigate and live with authority in the way that you are verbalizing your intentional frequency to the universe, because divine harmonics really shift and listen to your verbiage with your intention is that. The next thing is, interestingly enough, invite in the divine. I feel like we do that a lot here, invite in the divine. We talk about our relationships with these divine beings a lot, but there's some of you that may be listening to this that aren't super connected to your guides, aren't super connected to your higher self. Just be open to that throughout this year. I've seen some perspectives of this being the year of the witch. A lot of people connected to their magic, a lot of people connecting to, the divine, also the divine within them. And in retrospect to that, it really connected to the heart. The heart chakra feels really big throughout 2025. The importance of connecting to your heart, soothing your heart, and finding peace in your body and in your heart. And in doing this reading, my guides came through and suggested to you throughout 2025 to really just pause and take those moments of peace within your body, like where your body feels peace. And you might have seen trending a little bit, people talking about glimmers, like moments that feel like glimmers to them. Write your glimmers down. And glimmers are essentially moments where you just feel like a euphoric sense of joy. A lot of the times that could be you playing with your children, you receiving a promotion, just really writing those down so that you can, with words, really hold that frequency. And within this foresight for 2025, it concludes itself with a little affirmation for you, which is, I am an expression of divine peace, and peace is within me. So overall, there's a lot of diverse topics here, but essentially it's a lot about your internal world connecting to those that are not necessarily always believable and seen through trust and through the importance of connection of self and connection with the divine.
Thank you. It's exciting. I love that. I think that it really brings like a fun energy to this coming year. It kind of goes along with what has come up for me, and that's like getting deeply in tune with self. So when I think of like how you're talking to yourself, how you're saying things about yourself or the relationship around yourself, the things you like or don't like, and how much time you're spending talking about the things that you don't like instead of kind of moving on and shifting the perspective of it. It also really just feels like a time of deep healing. Healing in the sense of, who are you? Where are you? Where do you want to go? Who do you want to be? Who do you want in your life? What do you want your life to look like? What does happiness, peace, abundance, freedom, joy, all the wonderful things that you're deserving of, what do they look like to you? And then how do you feel about them? How do you feel receiving them? How do you feel living in them? The last thing too was also like the divine connection. Connection not only within us, but outside of self. Because if I'm a divine being, you're a divine being. We are two divine beings simultaneously here together. Well, three, really. There's three of us here, and we're all divine beings. And we're here creating this. And you, our listeners, are also divine beings. And we're getting to share this space with each other. And that's amazing. The profoundness of getting to recognize that, feel it, share it, live it. It's something very, very exciting.
Okay, thanks for sharing that, girls. So my prediction as I'm feeling into this year, something that really stands out to me, other than the ease that I feel people are going to start having, a lot of the hard work that you've been putting in over the years, especially let's say the last 4 years and last year, all of it coming to a head, you're going to start feeling the fruits of your labor. You're going to start seeing a lot of the things that you've been trying to manifest. They're going to be coming to you with ease. Ash talked about being mindful of what you're saying and your words. I think that there's a lot behind what you're going to be able to manifest for yourself. And you're going to be able to create a whole different reality within this year. And you're going to look back and kind of it's going to cause a bit of discomfort. It feels like in the winter, but there's going to be throughout the like spring and the summer, I'm getting like a lot of nostalgic vibes. Like I'm feeling like good old when you were like 13 years old, running around the streets with your girlfriends or your friends and just having a good old time riding your bikes. Like it feels very, very wholesome during the summer. The fall for me feels like it's going to be a true fall. You're going to feel the transformation of the times and of the year. You're going to feel it come in pretty heavily and quickly. And there's going to be a lot of time for reflection, but there's going to be a lot of connection with families. And that it obviously comes with the holidays. It's like the start of the holiday seasons, but it's a bit different where as before, I think as a collective, we typically spend our holidays with family members that we think we were supposed to. I think we've redefined those things in the last few years, and then we're going to actually feel that the family members that we're spending time with, these are the ones that we want to be around, and we're not going to let anybody else in. So that's really exciting. I think a lot of people have put up those boundaries and understand that like sometimes family is what you make it, and we don't need to waste our time anymore, right, on obligation. And I think this fall, a lot of people are going to start feeling that as well. And that's also obligation to ourselves as far as how much we work, unnecessary work we do. It seems like we're going to be getting more, like we're going to be getting back to our roots, which I really, really love. And I see a lot of people picking up books. People are going to start reading more. And I think maybe that's that like transformative knowledge that I see. But I think a lot of people are going to start learning new trades. They're going to start learning, like unlearning the rat race and learning more of the way that we were meant to live. I think a lot of more people will start gardening and growing their own food. I think a lot of people are going to get back to holistics, which I really love. And I think politically, we're done. I think a lot of people have had enough, no matter what side you're on. I think that we're going to start coming back together too, because there's been that separation. And so I really love to see that the politics that we've been exposed to our entire lives, I think that we're finally understanding as people and as a nation that we're going to have a lot more kindness and understanding for each other, which I really, really love too. And finishing out the year, I think that again, it's just going to go back to staying with the ones that we love and connecting with the ones that we love and that we really want to be around, and not the ones that we're obligated to be around. So that's really exciting. I hope for you guys, this year you find happiness and learn to love yourself a little bit more. I'm talking to you and Nicole, Ash, and of course for the listeners as well. One thing I want to leave you guys with is, I guess, a bit of a mantra for you. I am grateful for my healing, my good health, my wellness, my wholeness, my divine connection, my family, my unity, my abundance. I am at peace with my friends and the ones that I love. I am attracting supportive, positive relationships into my life right now and for the rest of the year and always. So mote it be. There you go.
Thank you so much for tuning in to Conscious Conversations. We hope today's episode offered you new perspectives and a spark of inspiration on your spiritual journey. If you enjoyed our discussion, be sure to subscribe and share this podcast with someone who might resonate with our message. You can also connect with us on social media to keep the conversation going. Remember, we're all in this together, learning, growing, and expanding. Until next time, stay open, stay curious, and keep shining your light.